Our world very much looks like the world of Psalm 9 and 10. That there are people who believe that there is no God, and because of that, there's no judge, and they never have to give an account for anything that they do. And then there are those who believe that even if there is a God, he's not going to require an account of them. He doesn't care what they do. And because of that, they do whatever they want to do, and they live however they want to live. And then there are those who believe that God is just so far away. That he doesn't really care about them. He doesn't care about those who are being oppressed or those who are doing the oppressing. But see, the goal of both of these Psalms is for us to see that there is a God, and he does exist. That he's not that far away. He really does care. And he's sitting on his throne. He's sitting on his judgment seat. And one day all the nations will stand before him. And we individually, everyone will have to give an account for everything that they do in this life. But how do we live in a world that doesn't believe that? What do we do knowing what we know? That's what these Psalms are about. And so Psalm 9 and 10 were traditionally read together as one unit, but today we're just going to look at Psalm 9. So if you would open your Bibles with me, we're going to begin there in verse 1. I'll praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies turn back, they shall fall and perish at your presence. For you have maintained my right, my cause. You sat on the throne, judging in righteousness. You've rebuked the nations. You've destroyed the wicked. You've blotted out their names forever and ever. O enemy, destructions are finished forever. And you have destroyed cities, and even their memory has perished. But the Lord shall endure forever. He has prepared his throne for judgment. He shall judge the world in righteousness, and he shall administer judgment for the peoples in uprightness. And the Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Sing praises to the Lord who dwells in Zion. Declare his deeds amongst the people. And when he avenges blood, he remembers them. He does not forget the city of the humble. Have mercy on me, O Lord. Consider my trouble from those who hate me. You have lifted me up from the gates of death, that I may tell of all your praise. And in the gates of the daughters of Zion I will rejoice in your salvation. The nations have sunk down in the pit which they made, and in the net they have hid, their own foot is caught. The Lord is known by the judgments he executes. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forgot God, for the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, do not let man prevail. Let the nations be judged in your sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. David begins this whole psalm by the 4 I am statements here of praise. And here's what we learn. Our worship has to be more than just lip service. It has to be heart service. It has to be a part of who we are. And living in a world full of people who reject God altogether, one of the greatest acts of praise we can give is by telling other people about his marvelous works. Really, you see that throughout the rest of the psalm. David telling other people, praising God. See, our praise is not just solely for our own benefit, but it's also for the benefit of the people that surround us. In verses 3 to 6, we see that only God can give us the victory. This picture of David's enemies retreating and God saving David by judging and rebuking and finishing them off by destroying their cities and blotting out their names to where no one even knows their name anymore. Then in verses 7 through 8, we see that God is the eternal king. He's the eternal judge. In verses 9 and 10, he's the refuge. Then in verses 11 and 12, we see that God cannot stand injustice. Like in Genesis 4:10, where he told Cain that his brother's blood cried out from the ground. That to God, injustice demands punishment. That he is the avenger of blood. That he will see to it that righteousness and justice is carried out. In verses 13 and 14, we see that God is merciful, that David's in this difficult circumstance. And so David pleads to God for mercy, and God lifts him up. He delivers him. And then in verses 15 to 18, we see that God's justice is known by his just judgments. That God's going to punish the wicked by their own wickedness. And that he's going to turn it around on them. It's like a boomerang. It's going to come back and get them. While we live in a world that would continue to reject and forget about God and despise his works and his ways and declare he'll never require an account of me for anything. You know, if those people continue to do that, God's justice, God's judgments is not going to be like lightning striking them or the earth opening up and swallowing them or anything obvious like that. It may be more subtle. But if those people continue to do the things that they do, then one day they will die. They'll go to Hades and they'll perish and they'll be forgotten. But those who turn and trust in the Lord, they'll be delivered and never forgotten. What an incredible psalm. Really encouraging. We'll do Psalm 10 next time. But if you found this one to be helpful and thought-provoking, make sure to like, comment, and share and follow for more studies, more readings just like this one.